It's time for Law in Our Life. That means we have Gwangju here in our studio. She is a lawyer who practices here in Gwangju, and she's also on our show to let us know about the Korean law. Hello, Hyunju.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
You know, we've moved from the rainy season into the heat wave, I guess, the hot part of the summer. I'm trying to deal with the adjustment.
Yeah.
If people watch these videos, they must notice that I'm always just, wearing casual clothes and a bandana. It's because it's so hot outside. What have you got to tell us about?
Today, the topic I'd like to talk about is Korean laws that foreigners find it interesting.
Okay. What's that?
Adultery.
Ooh, yes. This was actually big news a few years ago when this law changed.
Yes.
I remember announcing it here on the show. It used to be a crime, right?
Yes, but it's no longer a crime.
Mm-hmm.
But until a few years ago, if you cheated on your spouse, you could have ended up in prison.
Right, which is very bizarre to me. And it was on the books for a long time, right?
Sure. Adultery was a crime for 62 years until in 2015, Constitutional Court overturned a law that made adultery a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, it was deleted from the Criminal Act in January 2016. Up until then, anyone who cheated on their spouse could be charged and, if convicted, spend up to 2 years in prison.
Uh-huh.
The same penalty also applies to the other who fornicated with the cheating spouse.
Right. So if you're the cheater in the relationship, you can go to prison. And if you're the person not in the relationship, you can also go to prison.
Because you're having a relationship with a person who is having a relationship with a spouse.
Right. So it kind of gives ownership of the spouse by the other spouse, right?
Yeah.
Like it's in terms of damages, it was so odd to me when I first learned about that. Could you explain like some of the background of that?
Sure. Many people wonder why they criminalized a personal relationship outside the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is not uncommon. In 10 Commandments, the 7th commandment is about adultery.
Right. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yes.
You're not even supposed to think about it. I think that's another commandment.
Historically, the married woman and her partners was the subject of punishment, as adultery was an effective tool to maintain the patriarchy.
Right, because the wife was the husband's property.
Yeah, back then. Mm-hmm. However, as gender equality became the trend, many countries abolished adultery. Currently, very few countries have adultery in their criminal acts, and other than Islamic countries, it is rarely executed.
Mm-hmm. That's why it was so bizarre to me when I came here and learned about this law. And it was given as a warning to people. Like, oh, you should be careful what you do here because there's this law that is very different from your home country. Were a lot of people affected by it?
Yes. Can you guess how many people were charged or arrested for adultery for last 30 years before it became unconstitutional in 2015?
Probably a lot, like thousands, right? How many?
Much more. 52,982 were charged and 35,356, like 66.7% of the charged were arrested.
Wow. The cops were really investigating this
stuff.
Now, it got looked at a couple times, right?
Yes. From October 31st, 2008, when the court looked at this law, till 2015, when the decision was made, 110 people served jail time and 3,168 were suspended in their time in jail. Mm-hmm. Many people wonder why they criminalized a personal relationship outside of marriage.
Well, yeah, we all did.
The justices wrote in the court decision the reasons for enactment of adultery in criminal law. The chief reason for originally enacting the adultery law was to protect women, these justices contended.
Really?
Yeah, the idea was that men who tended to be economically and socially more powerful took advantage of women. Mm-hmm. And if a man was charged criminally, that would give women more leverage in divorce proceedings.
Oh.
In other words, a wronged wife might get more compensation after deciding to drop the charges.
All right.
Yeah. However, other countries also had. I think I should. Yeah. I forgot to delete that part.
Sure. So, I don't know if I really buy that argument. Do you? I know they're a judge. I should respect them, but like,
it's from a very like conservative viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. It seems to me it protected the men kind of more than it protected the women.
Yeah, back then, many women couldn't think of divorce because they thought, what if the man cheated on her and then he wants to divorce? Then women will not be in a relationship any longer. She will lose everything.
Yeah.
So kind of like to protect women, at least in a kind of like safe relationship, they said the wrongdoing husband cannot get everything.
Sure. But in actual fact, if men cheat here, they can do it just at, room salons and brothels, right?
Oh, yeah.
And like, there's not really any evidence about that, and it's kind of socially accepted. Whereas I don't think there are those things for women. So, I don't know. It seems like a good law to have off the books. What made the Constitutional Court change their perspective?
The justices found that the precondition of human dignity and right to pursue happiness is for each individual to have their rights to choose their fate. The court ruled saying that one's sex life is private, and the rights to choose their fate includes right to be engaged in sex and choosing the partner. They analyzed the changed society as well. Women are active socially and economically, and women no longer apply as economically weaker. These judges wrote that, in addition, the law cannot be viewed as exclusively protecting women any longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are right that things have changed here. I don't really believe with that original ruling. Did everyone agree?
Oh, no. 7 judges signed on to this decision, but 2 dissented.
Oh.
They still believe that considering the relationship between husband and wife is the fundamental element of a family, the country and the society should legally protect and maintain this relationship. This view somewhat conveys the paternalism of the Korean society, that the government or people in authority can limit a person's liberty or autonomy and make decisions for the others to promote their own good.
Ah, I see. I don't really agree with their viewpoint either. Again, it's something good to have in a free society. Adultery isn't good, but it's not good to throw people in jail over it. It's still a decision. But we still need to be careful, right?
Yeah. Currently, the adultery is not a crime any longer, but it does not mean that a person in marital relationship can have affairs other than his or her spouse. Even though such act is not punished by criminal law, one should be responsible for the damages that the spouse suffers due to adultery.
Oh.
Yeah, the spouse can file a lawsuit against the spouse having affair and his or her partner.
Oh.
And claim damages awards for emotional distress.
Okay.
It can be done during the marital relationship or with the divorce lawsuit.
Wow. So if a partner says to their spouse, "I want to divorce you. I've fallen in love with someone else. I've been sleeping with them." Now, the spouse who's unhappy with this situation can sue the other one and sue their lover.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Even they're maintaining the relationship. But the court might find the damage is very little if the marriage is maintained, because if the marriage is maintained, that it means that affair didn't affect them much. If the marriage ended in divorce, then the court will find, oh, the damage is quite severe, so I found that your marriage is terminated.
Okay.
So in that case, the award can be higher.
All right. So if you broke up the marriage or somebody got pregnant or something, there could be some big damages flying.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you measure emotional distress about something like that, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It cannot be calculated.
Okay. Well, I guess keep some extra money in the bank account for a rainy day. Or if your spouse is going to cheat on you, hopefully they'll cheat with someone rich, and then you can sue them for a lot of money. Thank you so much. And of course, this is available online, right?
Sure. You can find this segment in video and my YouTube channel. You can find me by searching Korean Law 101 on YouTube.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
Great.
Thanks. I just